Welcome back to Beyond Mortgage. I'm Dan Trinidad, and our guest today is Laura Brandao. Laura was named one of the 10 most influential women to watch in 2020 by Insight Success Magazine. She's the president of American Financial Resources and is the driving force that has catapulted AFR to the top manufactured home, one-time close, and renovation lending in the United States. She's a sought-after speaker. I'm really excited to have a conversation with her. Welcome, Laura.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Dan. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So maybe you could share a little bit about your journey, like that, how you got into the mortgage space and how you've gotten to, your level of success.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it all starts, I think every person that I've ever spoken to in the mortgage business accidentally got into the mortgage.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever, in high school said, I desire to be in the mortgage business. So
I want to be a loan officer. Yeah.
Exactly. So my journey started, I was a young mom. Me and my husband were high school sweethearts. We had an oops baby very, very quickly. And at that time we said, all right, here's the plan. I'll stay home, you go to work, and we'll figure it out. Well, I was bored out of my mind. And so I said, okay, what can I do in the evening so that I'm home during the day and I can do something at night? Well, at that time, what you did is you either worked retail or you got on the phone. And so I went to work telemarketing to call people to find out what interest rate they were paying in order to see if it was a good lead to generate for my local mortgage company.
Wow.
Well, I was so good at it that I actually wound up taking over that call center. And within a few years, I had 250 telemarketers working at that company, calling for leads for local mortgage companies within my community.
Whoa.
Yes.
And this was this was 20 years ago?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
That's right.
Way ahead of your time.
Yes. So at that time, now 5 years passed, I've got this huge call center. We're crushing it. But now I've got 2 kids and I've got one that's going to school. Well, working every night wasn't working for me anymore. So I said, okay, what do I now know how to do? I know how to generate leads for loan officers. So I opened up my old handy dandy want ads and there was a position for a sales manager in the mortgage business. So I went and I said, man, I can generate leads like no tomorrow. I was hired for that and I did exactly that. So much to the fact that they couldn't keep up with the amount of leads that were coming out.
Wow.
The operations staff began to crumble because they couldn't process the amount of generated leads. So at that time, now I'm in my mid-20s, at that time, I said, I know what I'll do. I'll learn how to process loans. I'll learn how to underwrite loans. I'll learn how to set up warehouse banks. I became the chief operations officer at a company in my mid-20s because the moral of that story and everything in my career has been no one's going to stop me. Whatever I want to accomplish, I'm either going over you, around you, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that happens. Now, I'm not saying backstab or anything. I'm saying more of driven, focused, always going in the right direction.
Have you always been that way?
Always.
I mean, even as a child and
always.
Growing up?
Yes. So now let's fast forward. 2007. Okay. 2007. I'm working at a wholesale lender, very scared that they're not going to survive the subprime crash. So it's June, and I reach out to my IndyMac rep. That was a good friend of mine, okay? And I said, hey, getting a little nervous, not really sure if we're going to make it. Do you know anywhere that maybe might be a little more safe? After she stops laughing at me, like, where do you think is safe right now? Tells me that she has a client that's one of her brokers that actually wants to start a wholesale division.
In 2007.
2007. I said, I can do that. And I went and I drove up and I met this individual. The company consisted of 20 people at a retail lender that just got a warehouse line to be able to close as a banker. I was employee number 1 of AFR Wholesale. I was handed the opportunity to build a company the way I think, hire anyone I want, 0 salary, 0 benefits. But if I accomplish it, I will reap a good reward because it will all be commission.
Yeah, was this all your idea?
This was everything that was built on AFR Wholesale was me. That was all my baby. Within the first year, I was doing $100 million a month in business.
Oh,
and that's
yeah. And was that? And did you go back to the way you started? Did you say, okay, I'm going to start generating leads?
So great question, Dan. I arrived the first day, June 18th. I'm about to hit my 13th anniversary very soon. June 18, 2007. I arrive and I said, okay, I'm here. He points at a desk at a computer and he says, there's AFR Wholesale, Laura. Go. There you go. There's the company. Start. First thing I did, Dan, I brought up HUD, right? I went on the HUD website and you could see what companies were FHA sponsored back then, okay, on the broker list. I went one at a time, called every one of them to sign them up. Within the first week, I closed 10 loans. I was the only person calling.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All about work ethic, all about just jumping in and doing it. Yeah, I've seen just so many loan officers strategizing, thinking, knowing what they're going to do. It's just taking that step and doing it. So you started by contacting brokers, signing them up to broker loans to you. And at the same time, if I remember correctly, it was shortly after that the mortgage brokerage industry started changing and banking came in and brokering went away. It's growing again, but there was a period of time, right, that brokers went away.
So when I started it, it was only broker. For the very first 4 years, I only offered one product, FHA only, down to a 500 credit score, broker only. For the first 4 years of AFR, nothing else. That's all I offered.
Wow.
Can you imagine being that detailed? And we crushed it. We crushed it. I mean, I was doing hundreds of millions of dollars of volume with one product.
So how were you able to sell those loans in 2007 and 2008?
We securitized them. We
did.
wound up getting our full Ginny, but within a year. We were selling them to, believe it or not, we were selling them to GMAC, or first off, initially.
Wow.
And then in 2008, I got my Ginny Direct. So we securitized them.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Wow, that's a remarkable story. I mean, I could tell you hundreds as well as you can about the companies that stubbed their toes and no longer existed. Yeah, it was a rough period of time.
Exactly.
For sure. So you went in, you started calling brokers, the company started growing. You now became not so much an originator of business. You are now running a company.
That's right.
And that's building a culture, and that's building operations, and that's marketing, and that's all the stuff with leading a company. So how did you transition? And most importantly, what I'd like to know is where you stubbed your toe a little bit, any types of bumps you had to overcome, or failures, or, you know what I'm asking.
Lots of them, right? I mean, listen, you're correct. I jumped in, I went back to my roots, right? I know how to call people on the phone and convince them to do business with me. So it's a skill. I tell everyone, a lot of times we think you have to be in this glory position to know what to do. But the basic skills and those things that I learned as a young person, of just the ability to not be afraid to pick up the phone and have a conversation, you can never take that away from me. Never.
Give me the top 3 tips.
Yeah.
Give me the top 3 tips. What do you do how do you generate these leads so easily?
Honestly, it's all relational. Okay. Number 1, Dan. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Okay, we've never met before. We've just met, right? Okay.
Right.
Would you want to continue to speak to me?
Yes, absolutely.
Why?
I love your energy.
Exactly. So if I was going to give a tip, you have to differentiate yourself. You can't ever go in being the same as everybody else. And a lot of times this is the biggest problem that humans, I'm not saying loan officers, mortgage, all that, humans have this problem where they're trying to emulate other people, to look at them and say, well, that person knows what to do, so I'm going to copy what they do. Or I'm going to read this book that's going to tell me to do it this way. Now, I encourage you to be a life learner. You should always surround yourself, listen, take, agree. But what truly gets someone to say yes to you is you being you. You will have the most glorious energy that people will want to get and be part of, but people don't let their own person shine.
Yeah, just be genuine, be who you are. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Now, I'm assuming you use that same strategy. It's not really a strategy. You're just being you. You need to recruit, so you probably get on the phone and start calling potential
I have
candidates.
never had someone not want to come and work for me. Never. I have never had someone say to me, oh no, Laura, let me think about it. Most people will say, what do I need to do to be on your team? And what's interesting is those people that started with me 13 years ago, they're still with me.
Yeah,
Those same people are still with me.
That's a great
They have
testimony.
not left. Many marketing changes, highs and lows and ups and downs and things happening, and they continue to stick with me because they trust, they believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've done a great job at taking care of them, and if you're being you, they know what they're getting coming into it. You're not presenting a story of what it's going to be like and it not be like that. That's why people, certainly leave. So fast forward to now, are you still primarily a wholesale company, or are you guys just wholesale?
Yeah, so we have a very small retail division, like maybe like 10 people. And
Okay.
it's primarily, they have relationships with Clayton Homes. They do one-time closed constructions directly. Besides that, that's it. So yes, to answer your question, I am primarily a wholesale lender. We actually just were named one of the top 20 wholesale lenders from Scotsman Guide for 2019.
Well, congratulations.
Again. So yes.
Now, more product than just one loan?
Yes, I do more than just FHA. Yeah. That would be a little difficult nowadays.
Well, I'll bet you though. I bet you could do it. I mean, I'll bet you become the best at what you do, and although there's just so much opportunity out there, you don't want to just limit it to one transaction.
But I will tell you, FHA is still the bulk of my business. So to go back to that, I mean, right now, it's probably 65% of my business is still FHA.
Okay. Wow. Very good. I love it. So, you say you have two children still.
I do. Grown
you're married. You're building a business. So I want to talk a little bit about how you balance it all. So, a woman with your passion and energy in a market like we're in right now, that we're so lucky and blessed to be in an industry that isn't trying to fight to survive right now. We're just trying to take in all the business we can. How do you do it? How do you manage your relationships and your health? And
so good question. So let's do a combination of going back in time. And you said it. You said, Laura, have you always been this way? And I said, yes, right? I met my husband when I was 17 years old, okay? I have been the same person from 17 to now, same desire, same passion, same energy, all of that's the same, okay? My husband knew that I was always going to reach for the stars. And we made a pact. We made a pact of my husband was going to have the stable job, the job with the incredible health benefits and the pension and really, stable. He was going to have that.
Little security.
Yes, he is going to have the great 401k and, all that good stuff. And my husband has that job, and thank goodness, wonderful job. So he had that, and he told me, Laura, you be you.
Go
You
after
run.
it. Yeah.
You, sky's the limit. You do whatever you need to do. And I will tell you, there's many a time we've been at a holiday party, and people will come up to him and they'll say, Tony, how do you put up with a wife that works 18 hours a day?
What's his answer? What is his answer?
Right, I'm going to give you the answer. All right. So how do you put up with this? And my husband, one time I overheard this, I was like, oh, I was really glad I heard that. And he's like, when I fell in love with Laura, and when we got married, I got married at 19 years old. So when we got married, I had a decision to make. I was either going to accept her for who she was and be there as her rock to support her and let her fly, or I was going to have a problem with that and it would never work out. So
That's
I
pretty
came
intuitive.
to grips. Yeah, I came to grips that one of the reasons why I love her so much is because I want her to fly and flourish. And I can't control that because that's what is part of what he loves about me. And so now here we are all these years later, that he is my rock. He is the person that the day that I got offered the job of AFR, and I said, honey, good news. No salary, no benefits, but I get to build a company during a subprime crisis.
And you'll never see me, and you'll never see me.
And my husband said, Laura, you're going to take it, you're going to crush it, and I'm going to be there to support you.
That's awesome. So what do you do next? So now, do you have any intentionality into, okay, it's been a long day. I haven't spent time with my husband today or this week or whatever. Did you do anything by design or by plan to give yourself time with him?
So a couple of things. So a couple of years ago, 2016, I decided I wanted to expand to a West Coast office. Okay. So I start looking at California, Arizona, that type of thing. And I decide Arizona is a lot cheaper than California. So I'm like, I think I'm going to look at opening an office, an ops center out in Arizona. So I go out to Arizona, I fall in love with it. Absolutely fall in love with Scottsdale. So I come home, I say to my husband, I have an idea. My husband says, okay, can't wait. Always have these ideas, Laura. So I said, here's my plan. Our kids are grown, in college and everything. We're in New Jersey. I don't like the snow anymore. I'm over the winters in New Jersey. How about we spend the winters in Arizona? We go hiking. We spend time together. We work East Coast hours. So my time zones, we get the extra time. I said, what do you think? My husband's like, Laura, I do have a job, know that stable job with the good benefits. I've got this job that, I can't just leave for a couple of months. And I said to my husband, this is what we're going to do, Tony. You're going to go to your manager. You're going to tell him you're going to work out of your wife's office in Arizona and you'll work remotely, right? I said, and your manager's going to tell you, no, we don't have remote.
What year was this?
This is 2016.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I said, your manager's going to say no. And he's like, okay, then what? I said, then you're going to go to his manager and you're going to ask him. And maybe he'll say no, maybe he'll say he'll think about it, but then you're going to go to the vice president. I said, you're going to go above him. I said, but this time I'm going to write you a business plan. And I'm going to give you a business plan so you can show them why it's beneficial for your company to work from Arizona. Since 2017, we spend the winters every year in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I have a condo. So to answer your question, when we're there, every minute we're together. We're hiking. We're going to see little shops. We're sitting out on the patios at the restaurants. And we make a pact that every weekend, maybe not during the week, every weekend we do things like that. And you're correct. You have to make that time. It is extremely valuable. We can all work hard, and that's important and that's glorious. But your relationships with your children, with your spouse, with your partners, whoever it is, that's where it really gets deep. And
Yeah.
what's the point of all the benefit and success we have in work if you're by yourself?
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I talk a lot about this, and you know, I see a lot of people get wrapped up. We call it workaholism or workaholics, but I don't know what it is, but it's, you know, people start focusing so much of the success on their job that they forget about the other important things like their marriage, like their children. And I've seen so much regret, or having to go through life with a divorce, or, you know, regret of not spending time with their children, or not taking care of their health. And those are the mistakes that I find loan office people in the mortgage industry
Yeah, in
and
the
real
industry.
estate,
Yeah.
make. And it's, you know, it's great to hear kind of your game plan for it. It's interesting. My wife of 23 years passed away in 2008 from leukemia, and
Oh,
I'm remarried now. And she was she raised the children. She was an at-home mom, worked very, very hard. But now I'm married to Katie, who is a top 1%er in the country in terms of
ah,
production. So now all of a sudden, where I come home, where I might have a glass of wine, now I'm coming home to somebody who's taking loan apps all night and
yeah.
scheduling meetings. And so that's why I asked your question. You know, how does your husband, how does
But
your husband do it?
but you probably would answer the same thing, right? You
If
have a choice to make. That's one of the reasons why you love her, is because of that, right?
Yeah, I do love her ambition. I'm trying to figure out, because I'm a believer that you can balance it all.
You can.
But I'm not the person necessarily to tell her or show her how. I'm fortunate that she loves to do all the
Yep.
activities that I like. We ski, we golf,
Awesome.
we hike, we do all those things. So, um, and now with COVID-19 in our
Yes.
presence, we're spending, you know, every second of every day together
Yes.
as well. So
Us too.
it's been great for our relationship.